Hello everybody, welcome back to Planet X News, July 1st, 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be looking at some pretty amazing photographs here shortly, and we're trying to use a new technique with this software, and we pretty well have these photos in a 3D format. Now, let's just say, for instance, that you had a set of those 3D little cardboard paper glasses that maybe you got from a movie theater many years ago sitting around. You may be able to use those to view this object in these photographs that I'm going to be showing you here shortly. My main priority is to show people these photographs with some depth in them, and we'll get to that shortly. However, we've got a lot going on with the sun. I wanted to go over some space weather data with you because we had an interplanetary shock wave that sparked quite a bit of aurora in the northern hemisphere over Canada. As you could see on your screen, we're over here at spaceweather.com, and the main headline: interplanetary shockwave sparks aurora. And this shockwave hit Earth's magnetic field on June 30th. It did spark some midsummer auroras. I did see some of the photographs. They were pretty damn cool, and this was up over the northern tiers of Canada and also the United States. But getting into some other news, a lot of sunspots, a lot of activity, a lot of active regions, such as you see on your screen right now. Active region AR 2835. And as I've mentioned in my last couple of videos, I've been pretty much kind of harping on, we're moving out of this solar minimum into this solar maximum very rapidly, kind of out of the norm. And what happens is, well, we get these active regions, we start to get a lot of sunspots, and they are just a little bit above and below the sun's equatorial region. With that saying, as I've mentioned and I've pointed out before, where the Earth's position is. The Earth's position relative to the sun is just slightly below that equatorial region on the sun. So that means that, we're kind of in the crosshairs more often than we would be. Like, for instance, in a solar minimum. And in a solar minimum, well, sunspots almost don't even exist. But we're going to be taking a look at some of the SDO information. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up and we'll check this out. We're going to be looking at some different views of these sunspots. So I'm going to go ahead and start this one. And this one sunspot right here, you could see two. Well, it looks like, yeah, there's two craters. It looks like they're craters, but we'll see in the other views that they're not really craters. But you can see one kind of dissipated right there where my cursor is. However, that larger one is sustained. So we're going to go ahead and move over to this next view, and this is going to show us all of these active regions. The one region that we were just talking about, I believe it's 2835. You can see it right here. And I would say the Earth is just about right there where my cursor is. So any type of major flare shooting off of this region, or mainly a large coronal mass ejection, well, that would be a bullseye to the Earth. The size of that active region is pretty large. Now, you can also see some other active regions here, and this region up here kind of dissipated. So we're really not worried about what's happening up here. However, anything is possible, and sunspots can form in this region right here, and they can become pretty explosive. However, they are moving off of the western limb of the sun, and we will not see those for probably, maybe 7 to 10 days. But we will see. And we're going to go ahead and jump over to another view, and this will give you kind of like an X-ray inverted view of what we were just looking at, and you could see how healthy that sunspot is. Yeah, I've been watching these for the last couple of days, and it's getting bigger and bigger. We'll go ahead and take a look at this other view. This is a complete black and white inverted view, and you can see this region right there. I believe is it 2835? It's pretty large. For this time period, in the transition between the solar minimum and the solar maximum, in my opinion, I've been viewing the sun and studying the sun for over 20 some years. That is a healthy, very active sunspot. Now, we're getting lucky because it is moving off to the western limb. It's going to be rotating around the sun. And again, if it stays active, we will see it again. And, whenever we get into that situation, the possibilities of it, gaining some steam, becoming larger, and then popping right when it is in alignment with the Earth, well, those are the probabilities. We're looking at the composite view here on the SDO, and you can see the same active regions here, here, and here. And this is the region right there that we're looking at. And you could see it. It's popping left and right. So there are a lot of plasma loops, a lot of electrical convection going on there. So we may see something out of this within the next, maybe 48 to 72 hours. I'll be checking it out. If you pay attention right up here, you'll see a pretty good solar flare pop from this region. Just a nice release of plasma right there. We'll move over to the 211. This will show us more of the coronal holes. Now, this active region right here, it did pop, and it did send some activity towards the Earth in the form of a small CME, and we'll be looking at that on the CME tracker here in just a minute. You can see very large coronal hole here in the northern pole region of the sun. There is one forming right here, dead center of the equatorial region of the sun. You could see it forming right in front of your eyes. You can see it getting larger, and there's a possibility that it may just close back up. Now, what that will do is those large openings that you see that are black or very, very, very dark purple, that will allow more heavier, sustained solar wind coming directly towards the Earth. Excuse me. So we're going to be, monitoring this, right through the upcoming weekend. We'll take a look at the 131. This will give us, just another view in a different angstrom of light. We'll be able to see these active regions a little closer. And I'm going to go ahead, as soon as we're done looking at these few, I'm going to go ahead and zoom into these. But I'm going to zoom into that active region right there where that sunspot is. I want you guys to see the activity with these plasma loops connecting, reconnecting, connecting, reconnecting. And it basically looks like just one big gigantic electrical lightning storm going on. And this is where you see those massive X flares. You know, years ago, we had like a 9.3 X flare, and it was right off of the side of the sun over here, and it was magnificent to see. But thank God it was not directly Earth facing, or else, you know, we would have been in some big trouble as far as our electrical grid would have gone, you know. So you see a little bit of a pop right there, but we'll look at it up close here real soon. Let's take a look at the 304, nice and bright and in your face. And you know, you can see you know, over the last well, let's just say about the last 9 months to a year, when we were looking at the 304, we really didn't see very much of this continual, what looks like flames coming off of the sun. And that's just giant flowing plasma. So right now we're starting to see the sun wake up. And as I mentioned in my prior video, it seems that we're moving into this solar maximum faster, more rapidly. And with the interaction of this Planet X objects and its partners, you know, the magnetic fields of both of the sun and this object, you know, it's going to be hard to say what's going to occur. You know, I'm not trying to be a fearmonger here, but there's a very high possibility that we could see a catastrophic event sometime, you know, between this beginning stage and this solar cycle lasts for 11 years. Over a decade. I mean, that's crazy. That's intense. So just getting to the halfway point of 2025, 2026. Wow. We may be into some very, very serious intensity coming from our star. And it may impact life here on Earth in a very negative way. And all we can do is simply monitor it. You know, it's not like you could run and hide from it. But let's go ahead and take a look at the 171. Pretty interesting here, because here you can see, you know, kind of a brighter view of these active regions. You can see those very, very bright spots. And that's kind of like a, I don't know, we'll just compare it to like an open flame. Very, very intense regions. And we're going to see more and more of this. Take a good look at the screen now, because in a few months, maybe, you know, 6 to 9 months from now, that's all you're going to see on this solar disk, our star. You're going to see from here all the way across and all the way across here, just speckled with these super hot active regions, and it is going to be intense. I'm going to go ahead and just click back over here. We're going to click back over here, and we're going to take a closer view. This way it's kind of more zoomed in. So there's that region right there that's most active right now. And, you know, you get a better up close view of it. It's pretty big. I've seen bigger, but, you know, that one's, it's getting up there. And here we go right here again. And it's slowly rotating away from the Earth. But, you know, any type of explosive activity coming from this this sunspot right there at that point, and for the next, let's say, 24 hours, would definitely, impact the Earth. If it was more off to the western limb of the sun, the impact to the Earth would be much less. But, anything within the next 12 to 24 hours would just pretty much be a dead-on bullseye. Here's another view of it. That's a pretty healthy sunspot. It's one of the, and it's growing. You can see it right in front of your eyes. You can see it intensifying. And this doesn't really show us too much. But, if I was able to zoom in here even further, when you're viewing this this view, it almost looks like it's liquefied. And it's just literally the plasma all around this sunspot. And maybe you can see it just a little bit. I'll let it play a little longer, but you could see it it looks like it's liquefying. Like there's a hole and this liquid is just spewing off from the sides. Pretty interesting, pretty cool to look at, Once again, you'll see, let's see if we could see that pop right up here. Yeah, there it goes, right there. Now, that is what caused the auroras on June 30th. So here you could see these plasma loops. Look at the activity in this area. That is where that sunspot is. And the Earth is about right there, where my cursor is. So you can see any type of discharge from this sunspot would be a dead-on bullseye. But, like I said, we're slowly moving out of that zone. Here you can see the coronal mass ejection that occurred right here. That is what impacted the Earth once again on June 30th. That's what caused the magnificent auroras in the northern hemisphere. Let's take a look and see if we see a little X-flare activity. Okay, nothing there. And I'm viewing this down here. And you'll see kind of a little X flash when you see those X flares. And, maybe we'll go into that one day and I'll show you the data and the SDO videos that I have stored away that show those large X9 solar flares, X flares. Let's see if we could see any plasma or filament releases coming out of here when it pops. Sometimes it's hard to see in this 304 view. You'd see a large, kind of like a squiggly looking, dark spaghetti looking plasma line come through there. So it really wasn't that intense. This area, however, pretty intense. Let's see, we may be able to see the a filament release here if it shows up. We'll have to let it go through its cycle here. Let's see if it shows up. Nope, no filament release here. But there, now that is a good shot. You can see the massive plasma loops. Look at those. They're everywhere. Very large. There's even some right here. So that's literally going up in the air and then circling down, and it's connecting, reconnecting, connecting, reconnecting. It's just amazing to watch. Now, when NASA views this, they have this in ultra high definition 4K. We don't get that access. I wish we did. But I do actually have some of that data from the past. I do have it from NASA in ultra high definition 4K, and I'll show that to you guys at a later time. So we're going to go ahead and jump out of here, and here is the CME tracker, and you can see this is the Earth right here in yellow, the sun in white, and that pop that we were talking about, that small coronal mass ejection, that was directly headed towards the Earth. Now, that was pretty well up high, way above where the Earth is situated in conjunction with the sun. So that kind of, kind of glanced over top of the Earth, not a direct hit. As you can see, the intensity is light blue as that what looks like a cloud comes towards the Earth, and it partially misses the Earth, as you could see over here. So it kind of glances by, but the position that region was way above. So it was kind of like a glancing blow, but way over the Earth. It was enough to cause the aurora in the northern hemisphere. And it was pretty intense. It was pretty intense for a while. The aurora was seen just moving, into the twilight times. Like, it was still partially daylight outside, and you could see these aurora up in the sky. And if you're not used to seeing something like that, and all of a sudden you see this bright fluorescent green halo, in the skyline, it would probably, freak you out quite a bit. But, nothing to worry about. These are just these active regions once again. These are just different views. So they have active region 2837. We looked at 2835, 2836, and this area, this is where the coronal mass ejection occurred when this sunspot was dissipating this active region, and that's what caused that solar flare. And you could look at this magnetogram, really not much to look at. And we just looked at this one, and this magnetogram here it's inverted, but it signifies and shows the boxed regions of where this activity is. And remember what I said. If you draw that imaginary line across the equator, very rarely will you see sunspots directly in this area. They're going to form above and below the equator. And that's kind of not good for us because we're just about right here where my cursor is. So if anything pops off here or here, like this region, 2835, we're going to have an interaction with that here on Earth. But, that's something to be seen. I wanted to show you guys these coronal mass ejections that have been occurring. We're over here on the Cactus program. And there was a pretty nice expulsion right here. And we'll take a look at it. And you could just see the intensity. And this was on the 27th. You could just see the waves, the shock waves, how intense and how powerful these coronal mass ejections are. Look, the Earth has been dealing with this for billions of years. But humanity hasn't been on this Earth for billions of years. Nor has the sun had a partner, meaning this Planet X, this stellar core, and its little partners. So based on all the research and over the years, I now understand that there is, this was on the 28th, 29th. I now understand, why these coronal mass ejections kept occurring when the sun went to sleep in this solar minimum. Folks, because in a solar minimum, to have these coronal mass ejections almost daily or every other day, it's just not heard of. It's just not normal. But once again, when you throw in that X factor, when you have two opposing magnetic fields interacting with each other, the sun being much stronger, much larger, and then the interaction of a very fast, speeding, orbiting object such as this Planet X stellar core, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to create these active regions on the sun. As they become more volatile, they do what? They pop, they explode. What is that called? That's called a coronal mass ejection. And that's what we're looking at here. And, it just seems that, over the course of the last 90 days, I've been watching this and charting it. It's getting more and more and more active. And this is definitely going to play a role for things that are going to occur here on the planet that we live on. We call it Earth. So, it's just something that we're going to have to see what happens. I don't think we're going to see, any type of, life-ending events. But you never know. We're already seeing extreme droughts in some regions. We are still in this massive heat wave that took the lives of over 25 people in Canada in one day. Canada. Severe heat wave in June. I went over all that my last video. We checked out that heat wave. And it rolled through my area, and it was pretty intense. The air was so thick, and we got up to a temperature of 96 degrees. Throwing in the humidity, it was about 103. It was pretty wicked. And, there have been deaths that have been recorded in Northern California, Oregon, and Washington, all pertaining to that massive heat wave. So, it's now kind of moving more and more over towards Europe. Will it dissipate? I don't know. But again, folks in those countries, Ireland, the UK, France, Spain, all of those Eastern European countries, they're not used to, 95 and 100 plus degree temperatures. So you can see that, there'd be a higher possibility of fatalities, So that's something that, we're going to have to just keep a close eye on and, hope for the best for these folks. And hopefully they have, some way to keep cool. But I'm going to go ahead and jump out of here. And we're going to check out these latest photographs. Now, I just got these in this morning. And my assistant there, who works in the law enforcement field in forensic photography, she helps me out, and we've been working with this program for a couple of years now, and we're still learning, how to use it to our advantage. And it has produced by far the most amazing evidence that the public, the general public, has ever seen. But yet still, mainstream astronomy and, NASA and governments, they still call it fake. It's all fake. Yeah. In my eyes, in my research, my investigations, this is what is the true factor in what they're calling climate change. Yeah, just think about it. Remember I talked about the Earth wobble? Well, if the Earth wobble continues to get worse in the course of a 365-day orbit around our sun, and the Earth is wobbling more and more and more on its axis, well, what does that mean? Well, that means that it is going to affect our jet streams, northern and southern hemisphere, which it has already done for the past 5 years. That jet stream is whacked. It's completely out of control. It's not even really a jet stream because it's in pieces. That jet stream controls the weather. So if the Earth is tilting a little bit more on that axis and that wobble is intensifying, well, what does that mean? Well, that means that areas on the Earth that are exposed more to the direct radiation and the direct rays of the sun, the direct heat from the sun, well, that's all going to change their normal climate. Wouldn't you agree with me? Areas that had a kind of a moderate climate would be getting what? A little bit hotter. Areas that had a kind of a cooler climate, what would happen with them? Well, they would get hotter. Climates that are hotter would get a little cooler. I think I mixed that up. But that's what would happen. But see, that is what is happening. When you have 80 plus degree temperatures, close to 90 degree temperatures in Serbia and Siberia and all of those Eastern European countries, and Russia and Finland and Norway and Sweden, and those temperatures in Iceland, how does Joe Biden say it? Come on, man. I mean, so what? You're just going to what? Just, okay, it's climate change. That's all. Stop all that pollution into the atmosphere. Oh, that's a bunch of crap. It's already been proven by multiple scientific studies that man may be responsible for 5% of global warming. 5%. Well, where in the hell is the other 95% coming from? So here are the photographs from this coronal mass ejection. Sorry, this one's a little blurry. When they come from the cactus, the resolution is already terrible. I think it's about 360p, which is just terrible. And you would figure with today's technology it would be better. And I'm sure that it is, but it's something that they don't want us to see, even though it's for public access. But our tax dollars pay for it, but we get the crappy part. They get to see the high definition. So these were turned into negatives and slightly darkened. And you know, these negative photos show incredible intensity of these coronal mass ejections and the massive amount of heavily charged particles that just get spewed off of our star and directed wherever, out into space, and sometimes directed straight towards us. So you could see, I mean, it kind of looks like a huge cloud formation. We'll take a zoomed in look here. Pretty intense. Now, these are the photographs that, you know, my assistant that helps me out with this programming, because, you know, she's a professional at it. There is this mode, you know, of turning your still photographs, and she's actually working on video, the video aspect of it. But again, you know, it's all this massive learning curve. But you could turn it into kind of a three-dimensional view. So instead of looking at a flat photograph and you're wondering, okay, here we go. Is that the plasma bubble that everybody just, you know, some of these jokers, oh, that's just a plasma bubble. Okay, I get you. The plasma bubble's perfectly spherical. I don't think so. But, you know, what is spewing from the sun in this photograph, and I'm referring to all of this. All of this. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of a nebula. You know, if you've never seen a nebula, just go Google it and check it out. It looks like these massive, massive dust formations. And I don't, you know, when I mean massive, I mean on a massive scale. But the quality of these images are just intense. You know, folks, you're not going to see this on any other channel on YouTube. You're not going to see this on any website. You're not going to see this anywhere except here. And while I'm on that subject matter, again, make sure that all of you are subscribed to this channel. Set your notifications and make sure that you are receiving all of the video uploads, all of the notifications from Planet X News. You know, sometimes YouTube, I don't know, you know, like they like to mess around with that. The next thing you know, you're unsubscribed. So, you know, just talking about that, just over the last couple of days, I've seen a bunch of comments in the comment section under the videos, and I've gotten a bunch of emails from people telling me, oh man, I couldn't find your channel. Oh, I haven't gotten a notification from your channel in months. Well, that's why. Make sure you are subscribed. Give the video a thumbs up. Let's keep the numbers up, and hopefully YouTube keeps us out front. Now, getting into this 3D Planet X photography. This, to me, is smoking hot. So, if we actually had a pair of those little cardboard movie theater 3D glasses, you know, we would be able to kind of see this in 3D. But even without those glasses, we can now confirm beyond a shadow of a doubt that what you're seeing, what we've all been seeing and analyzing, is a round sphere. It is not a plasma bubble. It is not a bubble of any kind. If you just look on your screen right now, without the use of actual 3D glasses, you can clearly see, unless you're blind and you're only listening to my voice. Check it out. You can see, I believe this area right here where the cursor is, I believe that is another spherical object here, 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 here. They're everywhere. And once again, I don't know what these are. Here's a view that's just a little smaller. Give you a little bit more of a broader view. Really cool. You know, when these when all these images processed and what was rendered, I was like, whoa, what the f is that? So we could actually see that, you know, in kind of a three-dimensional way, that, yeah, it's a huge, massive, round, spherical body. There's no doubt about it. None. We'll zoom in a little closer. And you know, this particular photograph right here, I was sitting here 4 o'clock this morning, staring at this photograph, sipping my coffee. I stared at this photograph for like 30 minutes. Just staring at it, to the point where my eyes were crossing. You know, I understand that, you know, anytime that you get into a situation where you are going to, you know, have something labeled as a conspiracy, there's always going to be that creepy debunker. But yet, they spew a lot of word salad. They manipulate your photographs or your video in their favor by trickery. I just had a YouTube channel do that to me. And, you know, because I've been working with so many different professional softwares and video programs, and because I've been analyzing photographs like this for a long time, longer than anybody on YouTube, I can guarantee that. So I trust my intelligence and I trust my experience. So I can pick things out very, very fast, very, very easily. And this joker, he did some, you know, crack video using like a Photoshop program, and showing that the object we actually, to tell you the truth, it was based on the video that I did where we showed what looked like a moon in conjunction with this Planet X object, the one that had the little the chunk taken out of the top of it. So this joker goes and makes a video, and Planet X news debunked. But yet the garbage that he shows people on his YouTube channel is just the most asinine pictures. I tried to be nice to this guy before. You know, he just wants to get up on his high horse, and he wants to be a superstar in this conspiratorial realm that we're in. But there is no superstardom. Finding this object and bringing it to all of your attentions has turned my life upside down. I don't have a normal life anymore. I was stalked for 5 straight years from the troll babies on YouTube, from the government, from the FBI here at my house twice, threatening me and Dr. Albers not to write any more books. And what did we do? In 3 weeks after that, we wrote our 7th book. And I guess they figured, all right, whatever. You know, what are we going to have to do? Kill this guy? You know, be honest, I still, like, every day I go out, I get in my car and start the car, you know, I'm wondering if it's going to go boom. I always think about it as soon as I get ready to turn that key. You never know. But look at the detail, folks. We can now prove that the object is three-dimensional. It's not just a flat, one-dimensional JPEG image like some of the debunkers like to say. I give you guys everything that I come up with. We have the best information, the best photographs of this object, bar none. Trust me, folks, there's a lot of fakery out there. There are a lot of channels that are trying to copy what I'm showing you guys. Okay, they're using different basic Microsoft picture programs to, you know, kind of insert things and trying to copy what I'm showing you. They don't have large fan bases, you know. It doesn't bother me. They actually kind of make fools of themselves. And they don't keep the photographs on the screen for like maybe 2 seconds. And they flip through them real fast. So you can't really just sit there like you are right now and staring at and analyzing the photograph. So if I'm trying to deceive you, yeah, I would flip through those pictures real fast. You see that? You see that? There it is. There it is. You see that? Look. Flip, flip, flip. Next picture. Next picture. Please. See. There is no superstardom in discovering this object. I've spent, at this point in time, half my life some days I think to myself, wow, you found it, you proved it, you're following it, but what's it doing for you? Pretty much nothing. However, there is the factor of humanity, all of you, and that's what I think about. There have been many times in the past few years that I just thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to hang it up. No more YouTube, no more Facebook, no more Facebook pages, no more websites, no more videos. The hell with it. I'll continue my research by myself. And then, you know, we start to see these major interactions with the sun and the sun's interaction with the earth and severe catastrophes and things happening on the earth and people wondering why, and the governments are lying to them and they're telling you it's climate change, it's global warming, it's this, it's that, da-ba-da-dee-da-da. It's called disclosure. It's kind of the same thing that is happening in the UFO realm. Oh, before, it was all just a conspiracy. But now it isn't. No longer is it a joke about little green men from Mars. Now, the government is taking it dead seriously. Will we ever see full disclosure? Hell no. The only disclosure that you're going to see is if you see it with your own eyes and it lands on your lawn. The photographs in this three-dimensional view are as intense as you are going to see anywhere. Look at these objects. Even though these objects are smaller, they are still perfectly spherical. Here, here, here. This one here, that is either a raised, massively high range on this object, because you could kind of see, what this looks like to me, folks, is if you've ever seen a photograph of the Earth without the water. The Earth without the water, well, it's all lumpy and bumpy, and it's not even perfectly spherical. That is what this reminds me of. These areas, they're three-dimensional. This here could either be another spherical body, or it could be a very, very high elevation. This is the same area right there. That is the same area that we saw that when I did the video 2 weeks ago about the Planet X moon with the chunk taken out of it. It's either that again, or that is a very high elevation. Today is an incredible day, you know. I don't know about you guys. Maybe you're not that as excited as I am. But with all said and done, you know, I have proven to myself that I'm not crazy. I know what I'm seeing. I know what I'm finding. I know what I'm experiencing on this planet as far as the changes. There are massive sinkholes opening up just a little south of Mexico City. Massive, massive cracks opening up in the earth. There is a massive sinkhole in the middle of a farm that I think is like just happened about 2 weeks ago or a week ago, and it's still opening up. I think it's like something like 60 feet deep, and I forget how many feet across. It's massive. Just came out of nowhere. No earthquake. We see that happening all over the world. 2 years ago, it happened in India. Massive, just massive fissures. It's been happening in different parts on the continent of Africa. It's happening here in the United States of America. What's causing it? Is there some other kind of force that's pulling on the earth? Pulling on the upper crust that we live on, that we run around and walk on and drive our cars on and live on, is that being pulled apart? You know, folks, in all reality, the Earth isn't going to be around forever. It's going to be gone one day. And our sun is going to be gone one day. Nothing like that is infinite. We'll be gone by then, you know. We'll be, probably space travelers, like our alien relatives. But today's a remarkable day. To see this object in kind of a 3D view is truly remarkable. Questions answered. I would like for all of you, once again, to make sure that you are subscribed. Please do me a favor. Share the video on your social media accounts. Throw in a little comment there for people to subscribe to this channel so they can consistently see what you're seeing. They can learn. And that's pretty much why I started this YouTube channel many years ago. That's why me and Dr. Albers wrote over a dozen books. That's why I've produced over 2,700 videos to document and show the evidence. But first and foremost, it was to teach all of you what is truly out there. And how much we are deceived. Because they don't want you to have the knowledge. Because the knowledge is the power. This is Scott from Planet X News. Thank you for watching. Take care, folks.